that's going to cause more allergies is eating too often. I personally am on 2 meals a day. I've been on 2 meals a day for a long, long time. It's not that I won't eat a third meal. If someone invites me over and has a third meal, I'll eat it. But for myself, I eat breakfast, I eat lunch. But some people, they'll eat breakfast, then they'll have a snack. They'll eat lunch, and then they'll have a snack. They'll eat supper, then they'll have a snack. And they're eating the entire day long. Completely wears out your immune system, and it makes you more susceptible to allergies. Another one, and this is a big one, is genetically modified foods. You've heard about them. I found out that they're not allowed here. And that's good news.
They are allowed.
But
They are allowed.
they are?
Yes.
They're given to the cow.
Oh, we're not allowed to grow them.
They're
Folks.
given to the cows.
Here's what's happening. When you and you have to really understand what's happening when they genetically modify something. What they're doing is they're taking foreign genes and actually shooting it into the DNA. And they also include with that a poison that will kill it if it doesn't take. So basically, that poison then in a DNA that's received the spliced gene, the new gene, now has a poison with it, an antibiotic, that's the poison, and it's a totally new protein. The body's never seen it before. So now when you eat a genetically modified organism, corn or whatever it is, the body sees it and it says, we've never seen this before. It is an enemy. And so the histamine cells, the immune system, all mount up a fight against what you just had for lunch. And folks, this is going to become an increasingly large problem in this world. Increasingly large. It's going to cause more problems than anything else I can think of in modern times. Another thing that causes a lot of allergies is artificial colorings, artificial flavorings, artificial preservatives. And if you look at any child's cereal, look at the box, see what's in it. If it has, there's a cereal in America called shredded wheat. You know what the ingredients is? Wheat. That's all, just wheat. That's fine, although some people have a wheat allergy. But you look at the ingredients on these types of things, every color is a chemical. Every flavor is a chemical. There are so much chemicals in there, and many children cannot handle these chemicals. We talked, I think, one of our first meetings about this problem called ADHD. You know ADHD? Okay? You have it here.
Yes.
All right, you got it here. And I said when I talked about this before, where was it when I was in elementary school? Nobody had ADHD. Something has changed in our society. We eat very simple. Thankfully, and this is something to be thankful for, we did not have a whole lot of money. I ate oatmeal every day. Oatmeal or cornmeal every day for breakfast. That was our meal. The fancy Dan cereals, never got them. Never. I can't ever remember eating these things as a child. These things are doing terrible things to the child. I have a friend, he's a neurosurgeon. His wife had a degree in child psychology. One of my friend's colleagues had a child with ADHD. And every day, they would bring the child to my friend's wife to watch him for the day. And the child was just bouncing off the walls, going crazy. But the mother, my friend's wife, would sit him down. She'd say, I'll feed him breakfast, I'll feed him lunch. She'd give him good, wholesome food, no television, no stimulation that he did not need, got plenty of exercise. By the end of the day, every day, he was perfectly normal. The parents would come, the child would walk out to the car, get in the back seat, and just sit there. the parents would take them home, put them on the couch, hand them a candy bar, and turn on television and go about their business. And every day, the child came back bouncing off the walls. First of all, the sugar and everything else that that child was putting into the system, he cannot handle. Basically, I think ADHD is an allergy, that the body just can't handle this big stuff. There are other things that are allergens. I don't know if you know about this one, but the pertussis vaccine. Okay? Whooping cough or pertussis. This causes major allergies if you've ever had this vaccine. I don't think I did, because when I was a kid, you didn't get all these terrible vaccines. We just got the diseases and went on with our lives. But the main allergen in the world, 60% of all allergies are traced to dairy products. And it's getting worse because the animals are getting sicker and sicker. They've got more antibiotics, more steroids, more growth hormones in their bodies, which is being passed on through the milk. In the United States, 50% of the citizens of the United States are allergic to cow's milk. In Asia, between 90 and 95% of the people are allergic to cow's milk. In Africa, between 95 and 100% of the people are allergic to cow's milk. And when you take this, you're going to have a reaction. Okay, other things that are going to cause these things is eating concentrated foods too often. These are concentrated foods, where they're highly processed foods. Anything from an animal is highly processed by the animal itself. Other things, your cereals and everything else, these are very concentrated foods. Carrots, lettuce, tomatoes, broccoli, these aren't concentrated foods. They're very simple. Those are the ones we should be eating. Medications are another large form of allergies. Now, I've got marijuana over here, because when I say medications, I'm really talking about drugs. Many people are allergic to the drugs, these illegal drugs. Many people are very allergic to the common drugs we use every day. My stepfather, if he took 1 grain of aspirin, it would kill him. It was so allergic to aspirin. And there's people like that. If you hurt yourself, you cut yourself, you go to the hospital, they want to give you a shot. They're going to ask you a question first. Are you allergic to antibiotics? If you say yes, they will not give you the shot, because they know that the shot could kill you. So, lots of those there. Some people are allergic to bee stings. Some will have a very small reaction to the bee sting. Some will have a major reaction to a bee sting. One of the people I worked with at Uchee Pines had a severe allergy to bee stings. She got stung by a bee one day and went into anaphylactic shock. They applied charcoal to the body. The effects went away. The shock went away. She took the charcoal off, it came right back again. She kept it on. She had to keep it on for 24 hours to get all the toxins out of her body. The doctors told her, she's a doctor, another doctor told her, if you get stung again, it's going to kill you. So she always kept charcoal with her. That's the best thing in the world for bee stings. Some people are allergic to latex. Latex gloves. My mother is allergic to latex gloves. If she goes to a dentist, she's got to have a dentist that will use rubber gloves. Why we're allergic to these things? I'm just giving you some of the things in our environment that we get allergic to. All right? There's other allergens. There are household allergens. So what we need to do is allergy-proof our homes. How do you allergy-proof your home? Well, there's things in our homes that will gather allergens. One is carpets. So I have a friend. His wife was one of those who was allergic to everything. So we had to do some heavy research to find out the least allergenic paints, the least allergenic, everything, wood, everything, and he built a house that was non-allergenic. Carpets are going to hold, besides dust, it's also going to hold things called dust mites. Dust mites and carpet mites are very big allergens. It could be the insect itself, it could be its feces, but it's a major cause of allergens. We need to have, if we have allergens, rather than cloth sofas and stuff, we need something that's very easy to clean because you're going to have them there. Your bedding on your bed needs to be cleaned quite often because you also have different types of insects that grow in your blankets and in your sheets. Now, I don't know whether that's true here in Iceland, but most other places. We've already talked about the dogs, animals, also mold. Any type of mold, mildew, fungus, people are very, very allergic to these things. We need to make sure our homes, every corner is clean or we're going to have problems. Now, let's say that you have an allergy. I believe myself that all allergies probably have a food trigger. So we got to find out what that trigger is. So we have a thing called an elimination and challenge diet. So what do? We eliminate the things that are most allergic in our food chain. We've already mentioned this one. First thing that's got to go is dairy products. If I have a person, matter of fact, let me tell you a little story. We received a telephone call at the place where I work. A mother was quite upset. Her little girl always had earaches, sore throat, and a runny nose. She had gone to a child doctor, a pediatrician, and the child had been scheduled for 3 surgeries. Have her tonsils cut out, have her adenoids cut out, and have tubes put in her ears. That means put a hole in the ear and put a tube in there. And she says, what should I do? And the doctor that was talking to her says, ma'am, I don't even have to ask you whether your child is on dairy products. I know that she is. Get her off the dairy products. 5 days later, no symptoms. None. No earache, no sore throat, no runny nose. And so the mother took the child back to the doctor who had scheduled the surgery. And the doctor examined the child and she says, well, the medication's working. The lady says, we didn't give her your medication. Well, what did you do? We took her off of dairy products. And this is what the doctor said. Yeah, that would have worked too. What does that mean? She knew. Why did she not say, go on a dairy-free diet? Why did she not tell her that? You can't pay your car payments by telling people not to drink milk. Surgery, first of all, doctors love to do surgery. Second of all, it's very lucrative. You make lots of money. Now, I'm not trying to put this doctor down, but since the doctor knew that that could be the cause, that person was remiss. That person was practicing malpractice by not telling the mother, try this first. If I have a person come to me with a child with any of these types of manifestations, I say 10 days. Just give your, I call it a Daniel fast. Give your child 10 days with no dairy. That means no milk, no cheese, no yogurt, no ice cream, and 1,001 other places that they hide dairy products in our foods today. And I found, and every time I've done this, almost every time, the child's gotten completely well in a short period of time. Okay, another, what we're here, this is called the elimination. Everything I show you in these next slides, if you have allergies, you get rid of them. Just as a test, all right? Dairy products, whoops, meat. You gotta get rid of the meat. I'm not saying you can't eat meat ever again, but what would happen if you were allergic to the meat? And you say, well, I'm not gonna give up the meat. Then you're not gonna give up your allergies either. We're talking about a test. Because some people's allergies are so bad, their lives are miserable. And we don't want miserable lives. Next one. And I don't know if you have much of this here, but shellfish. Clams, lobsters, shrimp, whatever. These things are major allergens for most people. Oh, let's say you've got allergies. You say, well, I don't eat these things, but you take calcium tablets. Much of the calcium tablets are ground up oyster shells, high in calcium. If you're allergic to shellfish, that calcium in the oyster shells is going to give you a problem. I recommend you don't do this. Sugar is another major allergen in our body, especially, well, sugar. We don't need it in the first place. If you're going to do a test, get rid of it. And that's the best thing you can do. And that includes chocolate. Oh, that always gets me in trouble. I was in a church in Ukraine. I was sitting in the third row, where you are, and there was a man sitting right here with his boy on his lap. The boy was being so good. I mean, just had his head on his father's shoulder, just enjoying what was going on. And I'm sure the father's thinking, wow, he's being good. I'm going to give him a reward. He reaches into his pocket and he pulls out a chocolate bar. And I knew as soon as this happened, something's going to go wrong up here. He tore off the top of it. He handed the chocolate bar to his son. Of course, the son immediately took a big bite, chewing it quite nicely. By the second bite, he was just a little bit more movement coming for the child. After a while, he'd get off his father's lap, and he'd turn around, he'd get back on his father's lap. He would talk. He was eating the chocolate bar. He was getting so bad, his father had to take him out of the church. My thoughts? They should have taken the father out of the church before they gave the child the chocolate, because this is what's going to happen. I have another friend. He was the principal and a teacher in a school. And he had heard about this, and so he decided to do an experiment. The last class, he told them, he sent a note home to the parents, please, tomorrow, send nothing with sweeteners in the food for your children for their lunch. At the last class, he passed out a math test to every one of the students. And as they were taking the test, he'd be walking along, watching. They were sitting so still. They were sitting so well. And they were being precise. Their numbers were so neat. And they were getting the right answers. And he thought, this is good. But then he goes up to his desk, opens up a drawer, and brings out a stack of chocolate bars. And he says, just a minute, children. You've been so good today. I'm going to give you a reward. You can eat this while you're taking your test. And once they started eating it, everything changed about the children's demeanor. Everything changed. They started getting more agitated. They were not as neat or precise in their math. A couple of them got into an argument. It was a total disaster. Chocolate, whereas it may be good for some people, it's not good for anybody. Where does most chocolate come from? Now this is another whole subject. Where does most chocolate come from? It comes from the Ivory Coast of Africa. Who farms the pod? Who collects the thing that they make chocolate out of? Does anyone know? Children slaves. They've been kidnapped from other countries, brought there, and they're being worked to death so that we can eat our chocolate. We should stop eating chocolate until this stops. Once that stops, you can go back to your chocolate if you want to. Other things that cause allergies are what we call the brown drinks. Coffee, tea, cola, and chocolate. All I'm saying is, if you have allergies, you got to leave these things alone for a while. Another one is alcohol in any one of its forms, whether it's beer, wine, whiskey. These are major allergens for some people. Now this is a hard one. If you're from Romania, you can't even think about doing this because there is a group of foods called the nightshades. Potato potatoes, tomatoes, eggplants, and peppers. These are highly allergic foods for a certain group of people. Corn is also, it's not a nightshade, but corn is another highly allergic food. For these foods right here, and you'd have to include milk here, because if a cow eats a nightshade plant, there are wild nightshades, it's going to pass through the milk into the person that drinks the milk. What does this affect? It affects people with arthritis. There is a woman who came to Uchee Pines, whose mother, she was from Tokyo, her mother was crippled with arthritis. And she heard about this thing, and we told her that if a person has arthritis and they get off of these foods, 10% will get completely well. 25% will have some improvement. She went home to her mother, she said, it's not going to hurt us to try it. She did it, and she was completely free of the symptoms of arthritis. So these foods, tomatoes, white potatoes, not sweet potatoes, tomatoes, potatoes, eggplants, and pepper, for some people, I love these foods. I love zakouska. They don't bother me. Now, if I start getting arthritis someday, I'll give this a try. Until then, I'm not going to do it. Other things, nuts and citrus fruits. Now, you might be thinking, but these are good foods. You're right, they're good foods. But if you are allergic to them, they're not good foods for you. We're looking at foods here through a long study that tend to be the most allergenic foods that there are. And if we can eliminate these, we're going to be a whole lot better off. Another one, this gets really hard, is onions, garlic, and lettuce. Perfectly good foods. I've been eating garlic every day because I got a little bit of a cold. And garlic is a great antibiotic. Onions, great antibiotic, great antiviral. These are good foods, but if you're allergic to them. I was working in Ukraine one time. I'd done evangelism, and I was holding 2 meetings every day in different parts of the city. I'd go to one city, one part of town, I'd do a health lecture, I'd do evangelism, get in a car, go to the other side, a health lecture, and a evangelistic meeting. I was staying with a family of 4, and somebody was always sick. And I thought, I can't afford to get sick. I've got too much to do. So every day for breakfast, I ate 1 ball of garlic, raw. Now the nice thing about that is you do not know how bad you smell. Matter of fact, I was studying and I was preparing my meetings in their living room. There was a door to the living room, and I remember every once in a while someone would walk in and walk right back out again. Because I must have smelled so bad. But I didn't get sick. And that was the key right there. Don't get sick. Plus, sick people don't want to get around you either. Okay? All right, another one. Legumes. I love them. I eat 3 days a week. I'll have beans and rice. Soy. And it's getting worse with the soy. You know why? Genetic modification. And peanuts. This is a major allergen. I like peanuts. They give me no problem whatsoever. All right? Just a couple more things. Bananas, apples, and strawberries. Oh, I like these things. That's okay. Just try it, not eating them for a while if you have allergies. And then there is the gluten foods. Wheat, rye, barley. These things can be allergenic to a certain number of people in the society. Okay, so if you haven't gotten all this written down, that's fine. Send me an email, I'll send you the list. Then the list that you're probably more interested in is, what can I eat? That's what people always say, what can I eat? Well, my answer is, everything else. And there's lots of other things. Because what we do now is, after the elimination, we challenge ourselves. We try, after we've been on this diet, I just recommend for a month, to get all the allergens out of our body. We're feeling pretty good. Then we start adding another food. But what are we going to eat during this period of time? Here's what I recommend. You can eat millet, which is known to be a very low allergen food. You can eat buckwheat. No allergens here. You can eat pears. This person from Africa, that's all he ate for a month. Millet, buckwheat, and pears. But you know what? He was serious about having a good life, and it worked for him. But what else can we eat, folks? There's so many things. Figs, grapes, peaches, kiwis, watermelon, and all these things you've got here right now. In the vegetable line, avocados, carrots, broccoli, sweet potatoes, cabbage. There's plenty of good foods to eat. Just get rid of those foods that we know are allergenic foods. It's best, if you have allergies, to go to a plant-based diet. That is the best. Now, my recommendation to you is go as close there as you can, and that'll be fine. You need to make sure you're getting plenty of exercise. It strengthens the immune system, it increases the circulation, and perfect health requires perfect circulation. And if you're not drinking your water or getting your exercise, you're going to have problems. Sunshine, if you ever get it again, is something that's very good for the immune system. I didn't see the sunshine today. It was somewhere over some ways away from me, but it was sort of nice to see it. And anyway, it's fine. I'd already mentioned drinking more water. And then, if you have allergies, keep your limbs warm. Because when you don't have to do it now because most of you can't do it, but if you felt the back of your arm, if your arm was bare, and you felt the back of your arm, and then you felt your forehead, and your forehead was warmer than your arm was chilled. And what happens when you get chilled is your blood vessels constrict. So all the blood goes to your trunk. It congests your lungs. It's going to give you all kinds of problems. So stay away from this type of clothing right here. And I talked about her the other day. She's a mouth breather. Do you realize that people with asthma are mouth breathers? That means every pathogen flying by is not going through the nasal passages, because that's why we have these things, to protect us from these things. It's going straight into the lungs. So we need to make sure that we breathe through our nose, breathe properly. Okay, we talked about this the other day, doing a facial contrast, hot water, cold water, hot water, cold water. It will release, it will decongest your entire face. Another thing you can do, I realize that all of you are very proud of your noses, but it's not there for your beauty. It's there for a purpose. It has all kinds of sinuses. One here, and one here. And inside those sinuses, there is an enzyme called lysozyme. You know what that does? It kills bacteria and viruses. So we're breathing through our nose, and it gets up in there, this virus and bacteria. Our body is made to kill it. You know how that was discovered? Sir Isaac Fleming, is that his name, Isaac Fleming? He was doing some studies trying to find out what would kill certain pathogens. He had these little, what we call petri dishes, and he had a culture of viruses, bacteria growing. And one day, he was going to put something in this one, and when he opened it up, he had a little bit of a cold, and a droplet of nasal secretions went into the dish, contaminated. He says, I can't use this one. He goes back around his business. Later on, he comes back. Everything in the dish was dead, which means the nose has special weapons in it if we take good care of it. We probably, every once in a while, should do a nice nasal irrigation, running water through here to get it nice and clean. And we talked about that the other day. There's a thing called a neti pot, but basically just running saline solution in one nostril and out the other, and it's very nice. How do you make saline? 1/2 liter of warm water. You don't want to put cold water up your nose. And 1 teaspoon of salt. Stir it very nicely. Very easy to do. Just pour it into your hand, hold the nostril shut, and suck it up there. I promise you, you will not drown. It's perfect. And it's not the most pleasant thing in the world until you get done and you find out, wow.
Any kind of salt?
Yeah, sea salt would be the best, but this is not stuff that we're going to ingest. We're going to spit it right back out again. So sea salt is great to put into the body to eat, but for my thoughts, whatever salt you can find is going to be good enough. If you just want to, why do we use salt? Because your body is saline. You ever had a runny nose and tasted it? What is it? Salty. You ever tasted your tears? It's salty. Every body secretion is saline. So if you put something, matter of fact, the first time I did it, I forgot about the salt. I just took warm water and, and I thought that the pain was a part of the treatment. My body rebelled against it, and I did the whole 1/2 liter of water. Then I remembered, oh yeah, the salt is a whole lot better. Another thing you can do, if you have sinus congestion, if you have any type of an allergy, this does a couple of good things. You can do a hot foot bath. Does a couple of things. One, we have about 5 liters of blood in the body. If we can dilate a large part of the body, the blood vessels, that means more blood's got to go there. So we put our feet and lower legs in hot water. Then the extra blood is going to come from your brain and your chest. If you have a headache, a hot foot bath is one of the best things you can do. If you have chest congestion, a hot foot bath is one of the best things you can do. And besides that, you can do a few things. Now, both of these people are dressed up. I don't do it that way. I get a chair. I put a blanket in the chair. I put the sheet on the chair. I sit the patient on the chair, put their feet in a bucket of hot water, and I wrap the sheet and the blanket around them. Then I keep adding more hot water. What's going to happen here? Many things. One, they're going to detoxify. They're going to sweat. You really get a good sweat going. 2, you're warming the body. You are rallying the immune system. And when you do the detoxification, some of these things that are causing the allergic reaction are going to get out of your body. Another thing you need to do is stay away from tobacco smoke. There's nothing good about it. Not one thing good about tobacco smoke. If you have allergies, if you have, matter of fact, asthma, one of the best things you can do for asthma is garlic tea. You notice that when you eat garlic, you smell it on your breath. Why? Because garlic goes to the lungs. You're not smelling the garlic between your teeth, you're smelling the garlic coming out on your breath. It dilates the blood vessels and the bronchial tubes. It helps the mucus in your lungs become much less thick, and it's much easier to move it around. Something else you can do that I don't have on here. If you know, does anyone have asthma in Iceland? Okay, some people have asthma. Sometimes when a person has an asthmatic attack, it is life-threatening. I have a friend who's a doctor. Her son was asthmatic. He was going through a serious asthma attack. As a matter of fact, she took the thing and couldn't even hear